So here's how Instagram unexpectedly turned into a full-time career. Hey, I'm Cameron. I'm a full-time photographer, content creator. I work remotely, traveling the world. I've been doing photography for 5 years now, and I want to give back to any beginner photographer who is just starting out. So back in 2020, when COVID hit, I found myself stuck in Australia. I was originally meant to move back to London, and that didn't happen because all the borders to every country got shut down. There was no more travel, and Dilly and I were separated for a year and a half, and I found myself a year and a half stuck in Australia. I needed to do something. So I decided to learn photography. I basically jumped on YouTube and I searched different YouTube tutorials for Lightroom, for taking photos, how to work the camera, how to work my camera. Basically taught myself everything that I needed to know. So basically I documented that time on YouTube, documented how I got certain photos, where I got the inspiration for photos. And I wanted to show people that you can do everything just basically with a entry-level camera and a kit lens. And it was fun. It was a hell of a lot of fun. I got my sister Jasmine and her partner Melanie to help me with the modeling, and we got creative and we did different shots. We did Brandon Woeful stuff. We did Geordie Coalytic style photographs. We'd go out to the parks. We'd try different things with I lit up an umbrella with some lights. And I think I got that idea from Mike, North Borders from Melbourne. And it was a good time. It was basically just for fun, or just trying all these different things that I was learning along the way. And I didn't think much of it, but the more that I posted, the better I got at it. I started to notice businesses approaching me. I started landing jobs from different brands and customers. The first business that reached out to me was actually a shop in a Westfield. It was a shop called Daryl Lee, which is basically they sell chocolates. It's a big candy store, chocolates here, everywhere. This was my first big business transaction. When I say big, I charged $10 per photo. To me back then, it was kind of like, wow, someone's paying me to take photos of their products. This is insane. I think I made a video as well for them. Yeah, everything went smoothly and we made the exchange. And then they also came back to me again about a couple months later, and they had way more products. And I think I charged the same again, but this time they had 100 photos that they wanted. So there was $1,000. And I'm pretty sure this is the first time that my mother ever said, oh wow, could actually be a legitimate business. Because I posted to platforms like Facebook and Instagram, this gave me a taste of what was possible. But the big turning point from posting online like this for 2 years was when I applied for a job on Seek. I applied for maybe 3 or 4 different jobs that were hiring a content creator, or photographer, videographer. So I applied for these different jobs and all 3 of them wanted to hire me. And then it ultimately came down to which one I wanted to go with. So from me posting all my photos and then behind the scenes content in the form of reels on Instagram, that basically was my portfolio, as I never had a formal portfolio like a website or anything like that. I never chose to go down that direction. I saw that posting on social media, and as much as many photographers probably say that's not a real portfolio, in my eyes, all a portfolio is proof of your work. Social media is probably the biggest proof of your work. When you can show reviews, testimonials, your actual work, behind the scenes stuff of you creating your work, stories, you can create highlights from your stories of when you were actually on the job. There is so much proof on social media. Why would you even bother with creating a professional, formal portfolio? It just didn't make sense in my head. And I wanted to share this video to show you that you don't need to do that to land a job working as a photographer. And then all of a sudden I had a salary where I was getting paid to do the thing that I loved. I was complacent for about 6 months, but there's been this thing inside me where I've always wanted to build something of my own. what that meant, I didn't know. I just knew that I was hungry for more. I started photographing couples and leaning into the wedding scene. However, I didn't like the, what would you call it? The chaos of a wedding, like so many people dealing with so many people at one time, which is why I also started leaning into elopement photography, because it's much smaller. But the fact that elopements can be tied with travel, because people they don't care about throwing the big party or anything like that. They just wanted to share their love with the closest people that they love in a setting that actually means something to them. And a lot of the times that was travel based. So I started leaning into couples and elopements, and I started building a business that way. And how did I do that? I did it exactly the same way I started. I posted on Facebook and I posted on Instagram. And from doing that and showing the proof, the photos, the work, the behind the scenes stuff, I started getting paid gigs in that niche. Since then, I've stopped doing that because the way that our lives have changed. We've wanted to go traveling full time again. So right now we're in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and we're in an apartment that we've paid for a month. We're about to head off to Spain, and I'll be traveling Europe. And travel's always been a big part of our lives and my life. I knew that I didn't want to just give that up and throw that away. So with this pivot in life, I am now working as a remote editor for the company I work for back in Australia. And I'm doing this part-time so that I've got more time to dedicate towards YouTube and helping beginner photographers get paid for what they do, and to ultimately get to a place, if they want to travel full time, to be able to do this. And I want to teach everything that I've done in the past that has gotten me to this point. I'm now becoming more conscious of my time, and I want to take on projects will serve me and that I care about and I'm ambitious about. So we're 2 months into our full-time travel, and to be honest, I am still pinching myself because this is something that I've wanted for the past 7-8 years. And to actually finally be here now is it's crazy. I still have to remind myself that I am here and I did get to this point, because you get stressed out in your day-to-day and you get caught up, and your new normal becomes the new normal. And so you'll start to be less appreciative of where you are and how far you've come. So it's important to take a moment each day to just be grateful towards yourself, and just realize that you are where you wanted to be like 5 years ago. Even just saying this now, it's like it's something that you know, but it's so important to just keep practicing on the day-to-day, which I don't do as often as I should. So with all this said, what I want you to take away from this video is to just post, create content and post it. It won't be a straight road, but it will get you somewhere. One of my biggest regrets back then was when Reels first came out. I started posting Reels and I blew up. Like I went from I think like 300 followers to close to 10,000 in the space of like 2 months. And this all happened before we relocated our lives from Newcastle, Australia to the Gold Coast, which is where I landed my full-time job. But I regret in that transition, I stopped posting and I stopped creating Reels and I stopped growing. And slowly I started losing engagement, and I tried to jump back on the horse about a year later, and it was already done. I regret not keeping the momentum going because I don't know where my life could have been. But then again, if I live in that now, I will always live in regret. What I've learned from that time is to not stop, is to find balance in your life, but to always consistently keep moving. Because I feel that we live in a day where if you stand still, you fall behind because the world continues to move forward. But obviously if you burn out because you're not creating balance in your life, it's important to look after yourself. A big lesson has been over the past 5 years is to really learn a skill of being able to balance your health, your fitness, your exercise, your mental health, your work, your relationships, how you eat right. There's a lot. So that alone is a skill that needs to be learned in your own photography journey. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I'm going to be posting a lot more of this kind of content to help beginner photographers land their first paid job, or if you want to live a full-time travel lifestyle like this and work as a remote editor, I'll be dropping everything that I know that I have learned over the last 5 years. If you want to check out my Instagram, you can right here. I'll leave it down in the description below. Also, I have a free guide. It's 10 ways to land your first paid gig in 30 days. That's down in the description as well. It's completely free. Go for your life, learn something. It's basically a checklist of everything that I did to get my first paid job. With all that said, guys, I'm Cameron. Never stop creating, and I hope to catch you in the next one. See ya.